Hey guys, welcome back to Dark Tower Studios. In today's video we're going to be looking at implementing a warmth or cool zone so that the player doesn't take damage if the temperature is too hot or too cold outside the zone. So in the previous video we set up this simple damage logic to where our players damage depending on the temperature outside. So if it's too cold or too hot, we take damage. Now this is fine and everything, and it works for a single player game, but if we go into the showcase and we go down and we select net mode, play as listen server, and select number of players 2, we see that the only person that takes damage is the server or the host. So that's not really ideal. I'm going to assume that if you're using Survival Game Kit V2, you want to make a multiplayer game. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to make that multiplayer, and we're going to make that work with our, we're going to make the warm or cool zone work with our client player too. So before we get started, the last time we were in the game mode, we set up this logic right here. So we're going to, let's go ahead and copy that, and then we're going to delete this. So get rid of that. And then we're going to go over to the level showcase or whatever level you're using, and you're going to open up the level blueprint. Let's just go ahead and copy and paste that set timer by function name, and then we'll get the event begin play. So whenever we start our level or whenever we enter our level, this event begin play will fire off, and then this function right here, this set timer by function name, will just continuously loop every 5 seconds. So we're gonna open up your SGK master character. Just go down to your content drawer. Gonna just search for SGK master character. SGK master, and it should bring it right up. So technically the logic that we put in the game mode should be ran in the character, I would think, but I had a little bit of a trouble getting the variables to replicate down to the client, and the showcase was a little bit less of a headache to do the logic in the showcase level. So we're just gonna go ahead and start over from scratch with the damage logic. I think I found a better way to do it. So since we already got the weather damage here, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna hit T period, and that'll bring up our custom event. We want to get a custom event on our graph there, and we're going to name this the same as our set timer by function name. So that'll be weather damage. And we'll just leave that as just a regular custom event. No replication needed for this. And just like the last video, we're going to get player controller, and then we're going to get the controlled pawn off of that. Alright, so we'll do the same is valid with the question mark there. And let's hook that up, and then let's pull off of this get controlled pawn here. We're going to cast to SGK master character. We're going to hook that up to the is valid, and then so we need to make a simple custom event inside here that's where we can tell this whether or not we are inside the warm zone or the cool zone. So this right here, we want to, let's go into close out the game mode. Alright, so we'll get into our character here. We'll go T period. We'll get a custom event going. We'll call this in warm zone question mark. And we'll set this to run on the server, reliable, and then we'll add an input to this. So this input is going to be in zone. So are we in the zone? And we'll go ahead and promote this to a variable. We'll set this to replicated. Then let's see, the default value is false, so that's good for there. So we're done with the SGK master. Actually, no, I lied. So we're gonna use a tag for this. I like to use just the player, just to keep it consistent with, like, if you implemented smart AI, you'll add a tag to your character called player. So we'll just go ahead and use that. So we're done with that. Let's go back over to our showcase level. So we're gonna come over here. We're gonna come off. Let's make sure we got this compiled. That's compiled. So we'll come off as BP SGK master character, and we're going to what did we call that? In zone. So come off of this and in zone, and we'll get that, and oops, we'll hook that up right here. So if we are in the zone, you know, we can come off the true. If we're not in the zone, we'll do some logic off the false. Alright, so now we're gonna get the current temperature, UDW, and then we'll do the greater than and less than. Actually, we do the less than first. Less than or equal to, and then the second one we'll do the greater than or equal to. Then for the sake of this video, you can set this to whatever values you want to. We're just going to set the, so if it's 30 or below, we're going to take damage, and then if it's 40 or above, we'll take damage. So we'll need 2 branches for this. So if we are in the warm zone, we don't want to take damage, but if we're not in the warm zone, we want to come off of this. We'll hook this into our less than. Let's see, so this is where we're gonna do the SGK damage. So let's just pull off of here and get the SGK damage message. And then, so if we come off, if we're not in the zone, and it is, and this is true, it is below 30 degrees, equal to or below 30 degrees, we want to go ahead and damage our character. If we're not, we want to come down here, we want to check if it's too hot. So if it is too hot, we want to damage our character. So whatever damage you want to put here, that's completely up to you. For the sake of this video and to kill the character quickly, I'm going to put 10 in there. And then that should be, yeah, that's good for this. So we're done here, I believe. So on our event begin play, our set timer by function name is going to loop every 5 seconds. So since it doesn't matter that the event begin play isn't going to be called again, because this timer right here is just going to loop every 5 seconds. And I know what you're thinking, you're seeing cast nodes in there. Alright, so let's talk about these cast nodes for a second. So a lot of people, there's a huge stigma on these cast nodes, and in this case, this is not a big deal. Having, you know, we're casting the character to get this variable right here. That's all we're doing, and we're doing it every 5 seconds, which is not a big deal. And the Unreal Engine garbage collection system, which runs probably every, I believe it's every 2 to 10 seconds, the garbage collection system will clean this up pretty quickly. So with the cast nodes, you don't want this cast node to be running off at like tick or something like that, because the tick will fire off, you know, however many frames are in a second. So if the tick fires every frame, you're firing this thing and you're set to 30 frames a second, you're firing this thing 30 times in that second, which we don't need and should probably not be done off of any tick. That's definitely not a good thing to do in Unreal Engine, at least to my understanding. So this is fine. We could use an interface, but casting to the character is fine. So this is pretty much done. So we're done with the damage logic in our showcase. So let's go ahead, and we're gonna, wherever you want to keep this, it doesn't matter where you want to store this. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it consistent in the blueprints right here. Just so I know where it is. We're just gonna go ahead and create a blueprint class of the type actor. We'll call this BP_warm zone. You call it warm cool zone or whatever you want to. I'm just going to call it warm zone. We're going to open this up, and in here all we need to do is add a collision. Now there's multiple different ways to do this. We could use a sphere trace to get, you know, to tell it whether or not we're close to like a campfire or a house, or, you know, some form of warmth. But this is fine. This is easy. So it's fine to do it this way. It's a little bit less, like if we were to do the sphere trace or something like that, you know, it's a little bit heavier on performance. So we'll go ahead and do the collision box. So we want to click on this box right here, and we want to scroll down, and we want to get begin overlap, and we want an on component end overlap. So we want these two nodes right here, right there and right there. We'll hit compile, and then this is actually going to be super simple too. So we're just going to come off here, and we're going to actor has tag, and we're going to type in player, like that tag that we put in our SGK master character earlier. So player, we'll get a branch here, hook that up, and then so again we're going to use a cast node, but in this case this is not a big deal because the only thing we're going to be calling is this right here. We're going to be setting this value, so we just got to call this. This is not a complicated function. This logic is not the cast node. The Unreal Engine, this won't even phase Unreal Engine at all, so it's okay to do a cast here too, since we're only retrieving simple logic. Let's see, we'll get the cast to SGK master character, and then let's hook that up right here to the true, and then we're just gonna get this function right here that we made. So we'll pull off here, we'll get in warm zone. So if we are in the zone here, since we're overlapping the box, we're going to go ahead and set this to true. We're just going to highlight this, duplicate this down here. We're going to hook that up to there. Oops. That up to there, that up to other actor, target up to other actor. And then we will set this to false. Oops, what did I do here? Objects over to other actor. So yeah, make sure you hook that up right there, or else you'll get that that compilation error. Then if we back to where we got this stored, and we go ahead and put it in our level here, this should work. We'll move that over right here a little bit. You know what? So let's just go ahead and, just so we can see this thing in here, we're just going to add a cube to it. We'll come over here to the details panel, lock that, hit 0.1, make it a little smaller so that we know where it's at in the level. There we go. Alright, so let's make sure that you got play as listen server, number, players, 2 players. We'll hit play. So I got control of the client right now, so it looks like we are both taking damage. When the client walks up to the box, the client stops taking damage. Whenever I come back over to the host, we walk up to the box, the host stops taking damage. So we'll just go back to our second player here, and we'll go ahead and move our second player out of the box, and we should take damage. There we go. So let's kill the player real fast and see if our client can respawn without any problems and still take damage from the weather. Hit respawn, and then as soon as we respawn, we should be taking damage, and we walk up to the block, and we're not taking damage. So there you guys go, man. So I think we'll just continue on adding custom cool survival game features to SGKv2. I think we're gonna work on a character customization system, and then we'll work on a area discovery system, and then I think we're going to do some status effect stuff. Somebody hit me up, they said they got a method to add some status effect to like the drinks or the food or something like that, so we'll look into doing that. And then I think I really want to do this, and I think that a lot of people will get a lot of use out of it. I think we're gonna make one of the SGK vendors. We're gonna add the Grok. We're gonna make it a AI companion, and we're gonna add the Grok API to it, to where he basically uses the Grok AI to communicate with you. He'll remember up to the last probably 7 phrases that you've said to him, and I think it'll be a really cool addition to SGKv2. So if you guys want to see more stuff like that, and stick around, check out the videos, man. But that's all for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you got any questions, leave them down in the comments, or you can join our Discord, and I'll give you a hand there. All right, till next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.